Transforming judgment, revealed fallen angels and God's incredible plan for redemption. In the land of Uz, during the days of Jehoiakim, there lived a man named Job, blameless and upright, feared God and shunned evil. His wealth was beyond measure. He possessed thousands of sheep, camels, oxen, and donkeys, and his family was blessed with 7 sons and 3 daughters. Job was known for his piety, often offering sacrifices for his children, lest they stray from God's ways. Little did he know that amidst this earthly prosperity, a dark plot was being woven in the heavenly realms. As the courts of heaven convened, the Almighty's majestic presence commanded reverence. And in that sacred assembly arose Satan, the accuser, whose malevolent intent danced upon the edges of his words. "Have you considered my servant Job?" God inquired with pride, his gaze filled with admiration. With venomous scorn, Satan retorted, "Is it for nothing that Job fears you? You've put a hedge around him. Remove it, and he will surely curse you." Thus, the stage was set, a challenge made that would echo through the ages, a test of faith against the most formidable trials that in an instant, calamity swept through Job's life. The air crackled with dismay as messengers rushed to him, each bearing news of unimaginable loss. The Sabaeans struck, stealing his oxen and donkeys. A great wind arose, collapsing the house where his children feasted, leaving Job in heart-wrenching grief as he mourned the loss of his beloved progeny. Then, as if the dark tide of misfortune was not enough, foul sores erupted across his skin, rendering his once vibrant body a landscape of affliction. Yet, Job's steadfast faith loomed above despair. From the ashes of his broken heart, he scratched the painful sores, whispered prayers, and questioned the heavens while wrestling with the profound sense of abandonment. "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I shall return," he declared, refusing to curse God. His spirit, though torn, still clung tenaciously to the hope that the Lord remained good, sovereign, and just in his divine purpose. 3 friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, arrived to comfort him, but their attempts quickly transformed into painful judgments. In their misguided zeal, they attributed Job's suffering to sin, an unenlightened contention that failed to grasp the mystery of God's ways. "Surely, your troubles are a sign of hidden faults," they insisted, each word driving a deeper wound into Job's already burdened heart. "Why must the innocent suffer?" Job lamented under the weight of his unanswered questions, as the tensions grew thick with every debate. Each friend offered theories, yet none could unravel the enigma of divine justice. Job maintained his integrity, his heart a battleground of faith and confusion, yearning for a mediator who could plead his case before Yahweh, the Almighty. Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select all notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. As darkness loomed, Job's cries echoed within the silent heavens, driving the narrative toward an indispensable question: how can one remain faithful when it feels as if God's protective hand has withdrawn? The air thickened, pregnant with expectation, and the story beckoned its audience what revelation might spring forth from this abyss of suffering. Job's fervent spirit remained intertwined with an eternal hope, yet the divine resolution of his plight hung delicately on the brink of the profound mystery of God's plan. The saga of Job, a man of faith amid unimaginable trials, awaited an even greater divine answer, one that would reverberate through time and eternity. And it came to pass, after a season of torment, that Job opened his mouth and cursed the day of his birth. "Let the day perish on which I was born," he cried out amidst the ashes, his voice a testament to his agony. He longed for an end to his suffering, be it the darkness that enveloped him or the silence of God which echoed louder than the voices of his friends. In his lamentation, he cried, "What is my sin? And what is my iniquity? Why dost thou hide thy face and regard me as thy enemy?" Job 3 verse 1, Job 13 verses 23-24, his friends listened intently, yet their hearts were hardened, their minds blinded by the assumption that suffering was the direct consequence of sin. Eliphaz, the firstborn of the friends, rose with an air of authority. Even as I have seen, those who plow iniquity and sow trouble reap the same, he declared, his words a fiery arrow aimed at Job's integrity. Is not your fear of God your confidence? But Job, still adorned in his garments of grief, replied with fervent passion, You have not spoken what is right concerning God. Job 4 verse 8, Job 42 verse 7, As the sun waned, casting long shadows upon the desolate landscape of his spirit, Job lifted his eyes heavenward, sensing that the answer to his anguish lay within the very depths of heaven's wisdom. I know that my Redeemer lives, he proclaimed, a seed of faith sprouting amidst the thorns of despair, Job 19 verse 25. Such was the strength of his faith, that even blanket of darkness, he recognized a flicker of hope surely woven into the fabric of his trials. Then Bildad took his turn, laden with the weight of tradition. How long will you speak these things? He pressed, for your own words condemn you. Yet Job's heart cried out more profoundly, How can a mortal be righteous before God? Job 18 verse 2, Job 25 verse 4. His soul wrestled not merely with earthly pain, but with the unseen battle raging in the heavenly realms. The nights grew weary, and Job longed for the light of understanding. His thoughts danced upon the precipice of despair and faith, pondering the mysteries of the Almighty. What is man, that you magnify him, and that you are mindful of him? Job 7 verse 17. In his heart, he grappled with the concept of divine justice, clutching tightly to the hope that even in suffering, there could exist purpose, a design beyond human comprehension. As the discourse continued, Job's voice softened and he entreated, Let me see my transgression and my sin, tell me what I have done. Job 13 verse 23. For all his lament, he sought understanding, not merely in the words of his friends, but from the very mouth of God himself. The air was thick with tension as the heavens remained silent, brewing a revelation yet unseen, and in this moment of anguish, a holy pause enveloped the scene, as if the universe held its breath, waiting for the appointed time when the Almighty would reveal the profound truth knitting together the tapestry of suffering and redemption. For unknown to Job, a divine moment was drawing near, a moment that would unveil the sovereignty of God amidst the shadows of despair, ultimately leading to a revelation that would echo through eternity, stirring the hearts of generations to come. But little did he yet realize, the Lord was preparing to respond, to shatter the silence, to manifest his divine purpose, and reveal that even in desolation, his sovereign plan was very much alive. And it came to pass, after the agonizing cries of Job rent the air, that a stillness settled over the land, a prelude to the divine revelation that loomed in the heavens. In the shadowed night, where despair painted stark silhouettes of limitlessness, Job's heart remained restless, besieged by questions that seemed to rise as smoke pours forth from a heart of sorrow. His friends, weary and worn, looked upon him with eyes that began to reflect a glimmer of unease, as though they sensed that the knowledge they held was not enough to explain the depth of Job's plight. Then Job spoke again, his voice rising like incense unto the Lord, Though he slay me, yet will I hope in him, I will surely defend my ways to his face. Job 13 verse 15. There was a holy defiance woven through his words, as if he clung to the unseen hand of the Almighty, even amidst the storm. His companions fell silent, for Job dared to reach for a faith that transcended the reasoning of the wise. As dawn broke with its tender artistry of colors, the silence shattered, and from the depths of the heavens, a voice roared forth, Who is this that obscures my plans with words without knowledge? Job 38 verse 2. It echoed through the very marrow of Job's being, a voice filled with authority, yet tinged with tenderness, a testament of both majesty and care. The heavens answered the cries of the earth, bringing forth a revelation that would ignite the hearts of men that dared to listen. Brace yourself like a man, I will question you, and you shall answer me, decreed the Almighty, illuminating the vastness of his creation, asking, Where were you when I laid the earth's foundation? Tell me, if you understand. Job 38 verses 3-4. In those moments, the skies teemed with the weight of celestial knowledge, the foundations of the world shuddered under the authority of his voice. Stars trembled, and mountains bowed low, for the Lord was revealing his divine tapestry, a display of omniscience unfurling before the gaze of both Job and his friends. Yet, Job's heart trembled not in fear but in awe. He realized his smallness amidst the expanse of God's design. I have heard of you by the hearing of the ear, but now my eye sees you, he uttered with a reverent hush, Job 42 verse 5. In that moment of clarity, the cosmic battle between light and darkness flickered into view, a struggle unseen yet profoundly felt, angels warring, heaven and hell colliding, and humanity suspended between the two. The air thickened, rich with the scent of revelation, when God continued, have you comprehended the expanse of the earth? Declare if you know all this. Job 38 verse 18. Each inquiry laced with a depth that dug beyond mere intellectual understanding, piercing the armor of Job's anguish to reveal the divine purpose underlying creation itself. As Job listened intently, a stir of hope began to awaken within him, promising a metamorphosis of understanding. The silence of God could no longer be interpreted as abandonment, rather, it was an invitation to delve deeper into the beauty and complexity of his divine will, leading even into the hearts of men, fallen and redeemed. But little did Job know, a greater revelation awaited, a glimpse into the redemptive plan that entwined the fabric of every trial, every tear, positioning his suffering as not merely an end, but a catalyst for divine restoration. The grand orchestration of heaven was unfolding, a tapestry of grace, where even the darkest nights would surrender to the dawn, proclaiming, behold, I make all things new, Revelation 21 verse 5. And it came to pass, as the weight of divine words echoed in the heart of Job, that he found himself enveloped in the majesty of God's presence. The heavens were adorned with the echoes of celestial power, transforming the despair that had once gripped his spirit into a humble reverence. With trembling hands, Job raised his countenance towards the sky, as the Lord continued to unveil the mysteries of the ages. Have you entered the storehouses of the snow, or seen the storehouses of the hail, which I reserve for times of trouble, for the day of battle and war? Job 38 verses 22 to 23, God questioned, and in the inquiry, the universe trembled, revealing the infinitude of his standards of justice and grace. Each word was a stroke of a master artist upon the canvas of existence, depicting the balance of mercy and judgment in the orchestration of life itself. Job's heart raced as he beheld the enormity of creation, the depths of the seas, the heights of the mountains, and the myriad stars scattered across the night sky. It was more than mere observation, it was an unveiling of his own inadequacies and the unsearchable depths of the Almighty. Surely, I spoke of things I did not understand, things too wonderful for me to know, he confessed, his spirit opening wide to the magnificence that surrounded him. Job 42 verse 3, God spoke on, can you bind the chains of the Pleiades? Can you loosen Orion's belt? Can you bring forth the constellations in their seasons, or lead out the bear with its cubs? Job 38 verses 31 to 32. Each celestial body was a reminder of divine sovereignty, an unbroken chain of authority stretching through the heavens, grasping every facet of creation. As Job contemplated these great wonders, the air shifted, the rumble of thunder manifested the hidden anguish of creation, groaning for redemption. He envisioned the fallen angels, cast down for their pride, creating rifts within the harmony of heaven. For I know that the creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed, whispered an echo from the heavens, igniting Job's understanding of his sufferings, his trials woven into a grander narrative. Romans 8 verse 19. The presence of God filled the space between breaths as Job realized the role of suffering amid a fallen world. He detected the heartbeat of divine purpose in a cosmos broken yet being made whole, a channel for God's illumination and grace. Thus, the Lord continued, I am not blind to your suffering, nor do I ignore your pleas. All is part of a grand design. Consider, then, the flow of the rivers, the flight of the eagle, the dance of the waves, for in all my creation is the testimony of my intent. The narrative unfurled, not merely about Job, but a collective weaving of every heartbeat, every tear in the tapestry of time. In that moment of clarity and intensity, Job's anguish transformed into a resolve fortified by divine insight. I know that you can do all things, no purpose of yours can be thwarted, he proclaimed, understanding the sovereignty of God through layers of revelation. Job 42 verse 2. Job's heart began to beat in rhythm with the Almighty's, his spirit aflame with a sense of divine belonging, a conviction that his sufferings were not in vain but were pivotal in the redemption story that extends beyond his understanding. The promise of restoration hung like a bright star against the dark backdrop of despair, for God had a plan veiled, yet purposeful, a promise awaiting its appointed time. And soon, very soon, Job would discover that his faithfulness in suffering would not only lead to his restoration but would echo through the generations, a testament to God's unwavering commitment to redeem the lost and forgotten. Thus the scene thickened with divine suspense, for the wisdom of God, though vast, still held mysteries yet unspoken, awaiting the fullness of time, beckoning Job and all who listened to look closer at the unfolding narrative of grace. And it came to pass that the voice of the Lord resounded within the cavern of Job's heart, filling the air with messages of both challenge and comfort. Shall a fault-finder contend with the Almighty? He who argues with God, let him answer it, said the Lord, his words echoing like thunder across the vastness of creation. Job 40 verse 2. Job found himself caught in the stark realization that to question the divine was to grapple with the very essence of wisdom itself. With a mind humbled and a heart burdened with awe, Job replied, "Behold, I am of small account. What shall I answer you? I laid my hand on my mouth. I have spoken once, and I will not answer, twice, but I will proceed no further." Job 40 verses 4-5. In that moment, a quietness enveloped him, a sacred stillness wherein Job understood the magnitude of divine authority that governed all. Yet the Lord continued, "Gird up your loins like a man, I will question you, and you will make it known to me. Will you even put me in the wrong? Will you condemn me that you may be justified?" Job 40 verses 7-8. Every word from the Almighty was a sharp reminder that the perspective of men is but a shadow compared to the brilliance of God's purpose in creation. Job, having tasted the bitterness of suffering and now holding the sweet nectar of divine revelation, sensed the raw power of these words. "I know now, O Lord, that your ways are higher than my own. Your thoughts surpass my comprehension," he said softly, overwhelmed by an understanding that wrapped around him like a cloak. Isaiah 55 verse 9. "Consider the behemoth, the Lord invoked, which I made as I made you, it eats grass like an ox. Behold, its strength is in its loins, and its power is in the muscles of its belly." Job 40 verses 15-16. Job gazed upon this great beast, realizing it reflected God's ability to craft even the mightiest of creatures for his grand orchestration. The behemoth was not merely an animal but a testament to God's limitless creativity, a sign of his providence manifest in the very fabric of earth. Then the Lord spoke again, leading Job deeper into the mystery. "Can you take it by the horns, or pierce its nose with a snare?" Job 40 verse 19. As each question fell upon Job like gentle rain, he felt the layers of his own understanding peeling away to reveal the striking reality of divine governance, present in both wildness and restraint. That I and the majesty of this divinely orchestrated display, Job perceived not just the magnificence of creation but its undercurrents, the terrible weight of sin rippling through each corner of existence, yet held firm in the hands of sovereignty. The fallen angels watched, cast from their place, the very chaos of their rebellion woven intricately into the loom of God's redemptive story, culminating in grace. "Now, look at the Leviathan," the Lord proclaimed, "a creature clothed in mystery. Can you draw out Leviathan with a fishhook or press down its tongue with a cord?" Job 41 verse 1. Each challenge beckoned Job towards deeper truth, as the Leviathan became a metaphor for both the forces of darkness that resisted God and the profound wisdom in his long-suffering. The narrative was intensifying, shifting into God's divine revelation. Job felt the breath of a grand design stirring within his spirit. The Lord's inquiry struck at the root of Job's doubt, revealing a vibrant tapestry of promise and purpose in the face of trial. A profound understanding dawned upon him. His sufferings were woven into the very fabric of divine compassion, a precursor to redemption that echoed through eternity. "Lord, my heart is but clay in your hands," Job uttered, as the weight of these truths settled upon him. For he now understood that God was not merely the architect of order but the masterful weaver of redemption from chaos, breathing life and hope into every broken corner of creation. As the heavens witnessed Job's awakening, the stage was set for an unimaginable truth yet to be revealed. For though he grasped the vastness of God's majesty, he also stood on the precipice of a revelation that would reflect through the ages. A divine promise was unspooling like a scroll before him, one that would unveil the depths of God's relentless pursuit to reclaim and restore all lost to sin, drawing creation back to himself. And as the clouds thickened and anticipation hung in the air, one thought remained lodged in the heart of Job: "What, Lord, is this plan that intertwines all? Dare I grasp its threads?" Then the Lord continued, speaking to Job with a voice that resonated like the rolling of distant thunder. Will you play with Leviathan as with a bird, or will you put him on a leash for your maidens? Job 41 verse 5. The questions carried an immense weight of divine inquiry, stretching beyond mere physical prowess into the realm of spiritual warfare. Job felt the very air vibrate with the implication of these truths, for he was being drawn into a depth of understanding that lay well beyond his earthly sorrows. His scales are his pride, shut up together as with a close seal, the Lord declared, revealing the intricacies of creation that were veiled from human sight, Job 41 verse 15. Job knew that the Leviathan was not simply a creature of the oceans but a symbol of the unbridled chaos and evil that lurked beneath the surface of life itself. The Lord's probing brought forth a revelation that the conflict between good and evil was one that transcended Job's personal trials. It was a cosmic battle unfolding in the unseen realms of existence. Job's heart pounded like a drum, echoing with the realization of his own limitations. Who can open the doors of his face? His teeth are terrible round about, Job 41 verse 14. The Leviathan represented powers that man could not tame nor understand fully, yet they were all under God's sovereign hand. In the face of such magnificence, Job was reminded of his own frailty, yet deep within, hope began to flutter as wings caught in the wind. Lay your hand upon him, remember the battle, do no more. Job 41 verse 8, exclaimed the Lord, an invitation to contend as well as to relinquish. Job understood that the struggle was not his alone to bear, the fight belonged to God, who wielded authority over the Leviathan and all creation. The beauty of God's redemptive plan unfurled within him, and Job sensed that God's grasp extended not just to him but to all of humanity, drawing each heart toward his healing embrace. Behold, the hope of man is false, he is laid low, even at the sight of him, Job 41 verse 9, the Lord proclaimed, underscoring the grim reality of existence. Job was reminded of the frailty of the human spirit against the backdrop of eternity, yet in that very recognition, life's worth began to shine anew. In the stillness that remained after these potent utterances, Job was overwhelmed with gratitude for being included in God's intricate design. Your purpose is woven through my suffering, all my questions may remain but they serve a greater narrative, he whispered into the silence, comprehension dawning like the breaking of day upon a darkened world. The Lord then declared, the faithfulness of my creation is manifested in the entirety of my plan. Your trials are but a stark reminder of the grace that will cover a multitude, Isaiah 53 verse 5. Job could feel that redemption was not merely a distant hope but a vibrant reality intertwined with the pains of existence. Then the clouds parted slightly, revealing a glimpse of a grander purpose. In that divine moment, the breath of prophecy lingered in the air, a seed of promise now planted within Job's heart. For you shall see restoration, not merely for yourself but for the multitude seeking refuge in the shadow of my wings, the Lord imparted, unveiling the truth that would resonate throughout generations. Job's understanding deepened, and he was saturated with both sorrow and joy. What is man that you are mindful of him? He wondered, his heart swelling, as he grasped the profound intricacies of God's purpose, the strands of divine care weaving through every trial, betrayal, and heartache in the world. He stood on the edge of something monumental, the sheer weight of God's intent echoing through the ages. As the day faded into twilight, Job pondered intently, his spirit aflame with divine mystery. For in the heart of every hurting soul lay a thirst for grace, a glimmer of the hope that one day would reignite the cosmos, drawing all creation into the embrace of its Creator. As he knelt in humbled adoration, the reverberations of God's love deepened, and a question lingered in the whispers of his heart: what shall be revealed in the fullness of your promise, O Lord, in this unfolding story of salvation? Then the Lord spoke again, his voice a sweet cascading of authority and grace. Job, gird up your loins like a man, I will ask you, and you shall declare unto me. Job 40 verse 7. As the heavens seemed to hold its breath, Job sensed the urgency of the moment. God was drawing him deeper into a profound dialogue of eternal significance. What is your understanding of my dominion over all that is seen and unseen? Inquired the Lord, bringing forth the might of his creation in all its splendor. Job pondered, his mind racing through the wonders of the earth, the majesty of the heavens, and the hidden realms where angels tread, both fallen and faithful. Know you the ordinances of the heavens? Can you set their dominion over the earth? Job 38 verse 33, the Lord challenged, revealing layers of divine governance woven into every facet of existence. Job's eyes widened at the recognition that the angelic hosts, created for purposes beyond comprehension, were at play in a grand celestial drama, intertwined with humanity's fate. With each question, the truth began to unfurl, like a scroll being unrolled in the sacred presence of God. Job remembered the whispers of deceit that had ensnared the hearts of many throughout the ages. The fallen angels, cast down from their high estate, becoming harbingers of despair and chaos. At that moment, he could almost hear their distant cries, echoes of rebellion against the divine will, hath God said? Yet, even in their rebellion, my hand is not short that it cannot save, the Lord spoke softly, piercing the veil that covered Job's heart. He began to see the sovereign weave of redemption threaded through creation's very foundation. For out of chaos, I bring forth life, from darkness, I summon light, Isaiah 45 verse 7. Job absorbed these words, and a spark of understanding ignited within him. Why do you strive with me? Asked the Lord, turning Job's gaze inward. You do not know how my heart yearns for my creation, how I have set forth a plan from before the foundations of the world, Ephesians 1 verse 4. Job felt the weight of eternity rest upon him, the burden of every soul that yearned for his grace, and he recognized that his suffering was but a sliver of the greater tale woven into the tapestry of redemption. The fall came, and with it, sin entered the world, yet I devised a means to reclaim what was lost, the Lord declared with authority. Out of a seed of woman shall come one who will crush the serpent's head, Genesis 3 verse 15. Each word resonated within Job, a potent reminder that his struggle was not in vain. For in that moment, as understanding dawned upon Job, he perceived the threads of God's incredible plan unfurling before him, a redemption for not only himself but for all who wandered in darkness. Blessed be the Lord, who delivers from the pit and grants life anew. Job exclaimed, joy swelling within him, for he was but a piece in an eternal puzzle, designed for great purpose. The celestial dance continued, heavenly beings rejoicing in anticipation of what was to come. Then, with a voice echoing like cascading waters, the Lord concluded, you will witness the culmination of my promise, a new creation where every tear will be wiped away, Revelation 21 verse 4. As the heavens opened, a profound silence enveloped Job, and he bowed in reverent awe, realizing that he was part of a story greater than his own, a narrative wrapped in the love and mystery of God. What shall come of those who embrace this promise, O Lord? What marvels await? He wondered, his heart ignited with profound hope yet again. For even amidst the trials, a divine symphony was unfolding, and he sensed the depths of God's sovereign heart reaching toward the brokenness of creation. Then the Lord spoke once more, his voice a celestial trumpet piercing through the heavy silence. Job, behold the behemoth, which I made as I made you, he eats grass like an ox. Behold, his strength is in his loins, and his power is in the muscles of his belly, Job 40 verses 15 to 16. Job gazed in wonder at the beast, understanding the display was not merely to showcase might, but to reveal the depths of God's creation, a reminder of the balance of power and humility within the cosmos. Can you draw out Leviathan with a hook, or press down his tongue with a cord? Job 41 verse 1, the Lord asked, and Job felt the gravity of his words sink into his very soul. What a fearsome creature he is, O Lord! Job exclaimed, awed at the very mention of the Leviathan. For in his strength lies a terror, a mirror to the darkness that lurks unwittingly among men. Yes, Job, the Lord affirmed gently. The Leviathan resides in the deep. There are elements of my creation that defy the understanding of mortal minds, embodiments of both wonder and dread. These beings, both earthly and divine, serve my purposes. Here, in the depths of his heart, Job discerned the weight of a mystery he had yet to fully grasp. The levity of creation bore shadows, where twisted forces sought to mar the beauty of God's handiwork. Is it not so that evil has woven itself among the very threads of your design? He asked, his voice trembling with an echo of fear and reverence. Indeed, Job, the adversary prowls like a lion, for he seeks whom he may devour, 1 Peter 5 verse 8. The Lord's voice resonated with solemnity. Yet, as the darkness grows, so too shall the light break forth. For a new covenant is coming, one that even Leviathan shall bow to, and the accuser shall be subdued. Job felt his spirit lift at the revelation. What light will this be, O Lord? How shall mankind rise from despair? He implored, his hope growing with the flame of divine promise burning in his heart. Fear not, Job, for I have written the end from the beginning, Isaiah 46 verse 10. The Lord's assurance coursed through Job, yet the question remained, how could something so small and wretched as humanity be the centerpiece of such grand designs? Consider the time when the seed is buried. It seems lifeless, and yet, it shall sprout forth and yield a bountiful harvest, John 12 verse 24. God continued, revealing the depths of his plans entangled within apparent despair. For though the serpent shall strike the heel, the seed of the woman shall crush his head, Genesis 3 verse 15. The burden of understanding fell heavily upon Job, and he grasped his place within the unfolding narrative, a role in God's majestic play of redemption. O Lord, how do we prepare for this, which you have ordained? Through faith and obedience, the Lord replied, his words enveloping Job in a warm embrace. For all who seek me will find solace in the promise of restoration, a renewal of heart, spirit, and creation. In the end, the heavens will sing of my glory, and light will banish the shadows forever. As light began to spill into the confines of Job's understanding, the Lord's presence shimmered like the dawn breaking upon the horizon. But know this, Job, he cautioned, the journey will be fraught with trials. Those who hold fast to this promise must endure. What must we endure, and what shall await us at journey's end? Job pondered, for the path ahead was shrouded in mystery, yet illuminated by hope. Great shall be the reward for those who remain steadfast, for you have yet to witness the full extent of my plan. The Lord's voice echoed in the chambers of heaven, as if calling forth the congregation of saints yet to come. And from the ashes of despair shall rise a people redeemed. Thus, the narrative of divine purpose was laid before Job, enticing his heart still further into the depths of God's unparalleled wisdom. In that moment, the threads of the divine tapestry began to weave before him once more, whispering promises yet to be fulfilled. What shall come of the steadfast and the faithful, O Lord? He exclaimed in anticipation, his spirit eager for the unfolding of God's sovereign plan. Then the Lord spoke again, his voice like a cascading river, flowing with wisdom and authority. Job, your questions stem from a heart seeking understanding, and I delight in the inquiry of the faithful. But behold, the truth lies deeper still. Job stood in silent reverence, his mind racing, nervously placing one hand over the other as he awaited further revelation. Consider the creation, the Lord continued, and reflect on the spirits that dwell beyond the veil of mortal sight. Can you fathom the origin of the morning stars, those who sang together at the dawn of the world? Job 38 verse 7. I, Lord, Job murmured, awed by the poetic imagery. But what of their fate? Do they not play a role in this great tapestry, woven by your hand? Indeed, the Lord replied, his words carrying weight, for among the heavenly hosts there are those who fell from my grace, seduced by pride and ambition. They sought to ascend to heights that belonged only to me. Job's heart thudded in understanding. Are these the spirits of darkness, O Lord? What purpose do they serve in your divine plan? Even the adversary serves my will, though he schemes against my creation, the Lord declared, his tone both firm and tender. For I have decreed that from their rebellion, a greater glory shall emerge, a light that shines through the darkness, illuminating the path for those who seek redemption. Is this light, Lord, the same that you spoke of earlier? Job's voice trembled with anticipation. Shall it bring salvation to mankind? Indeed, Job, the Lord affirmed, his presence radiant as he unveiled profound mysteries. From the ashes of sin and despair, a Savior shall arise, the Lamb without blemish, who will bear the sins of many and usher in my new covenant. He shall navigate the depths of suffering, setting captives free and binding the broken-hearted. Job's heart ignited at this proclamation. How can this be, O Lord? How can one endure such sorrow and yet triumph? Through the very trials that seem insurmountable, through the valley of the shadow of death, Psalm 23 verse 4, the Lord responded, his voice a balm to Job's troubled spirit. The one I send shall taste the bitter cup of anguish and bear the weight of transgressions, revealing my love unfathomable. And this shall affect the fallen spirits? Job queried, deeply contemplating the darkness within creation. Are they not bound to their fate forever? No, Job, the Lord revealed, for in my design lies a mystery of hope. Even the adversary trembles at the coming of the Redeemer, knowing that his days are numbered. When I pour out my spirit, it shall be a sign to all creation that the time for healing has arrived. The serpents of darkness shall be bound, and what was once lost may yet be restored. As the Lord's words washed over him, Job felt a surge of faith rise within. Your promise is beyond our understanding, Lord, yet I cling to it fervently. How shall we prepare for the arrival of this Redeemer? Let your heart yearn for righteousness, let your spirit be steadfast, and let your prayers ascend to the heavens like incense. Revelation 5 verse 8. Job bowed low, humbled by the enormity of God's calling. O Lord, I shall wait upon you with eager anticipation. But tell me, how will we recognize him when he comes? The Lord smiled, his eyes bright with the light of hope. You will know him, Job, for he will be known by his love. The one who lays down his life for his friends shall bring forth a new creation, one that even the broken shards of the past shall be made whole. And as the final words echoed into the expanse of eternity, Job felt the weight of the world lift, replaced by an eager burden for the promise yet to unfold in the narrative of grace. What shall come from this waiting and longing, Lord? He inquired. Great is the mystery, for what you anticipate shall transform all of creation, the Lord proclaimed. From the ashes of judgment shall rise a people redeemed, and through them, the nations shall behold my glory. Thus, the tapestry of divine purpose continued to weave itself in intricate patterns, drawing Job deeper into the heart of God's sovereign plan, as both light and shadow danced before him. And it came to pass, after much deliberation and holy revelation, that Job's heart was profoundly transformed by the whispers of divine wisdom. The majestic voice of the Almighty resonated through the vastness of the heavens, now intertwining with Job's spirit, illuminating pathways of understanding previously obscured by anguish. Job, your struggle is noted, I have not overlooked your pain, nor has your faith fallen upon deaf ears, declared the Lord. With every question posed, every truth unfolded, Job felt the veil of despair lift, replaced by an unwavering trust in his Creator's sovereign will. In that sacred moment, Job's understanding blossomed, recognizing that suffering was not synonymous with punishment but intertwined with divine purpose. Surely, even in the darkness, your light shines, he marveled, grasping the immense love woven through the tapestry of creation. You seek to redeem the broken and restore the lost. How great is your mercy, O Lord! As the breath of heaven enveloped him, the Lord continued to unfold his design for redemption. You shall not only see your restoration, but the hearts of many will be turned towards me, seeking solace in their own afflictions. Through you, a testament shall arise, proclaiming my faithfulness unto all generations. And as the affirmation of God's sovereign plan settled upon Job, he perceived his trials anew not as an end, but as a divine beginning. The empire of suffering that once shadowed Job was now illuminated by hope. He envisioned the multitudes who would gaze upon his story and find strength in the echo of God's truth. Though I falter, his love sustains, Job proclaimed, a deep emboldened faith rising within him. Then the skies above grew brighter, and the air shimmered with revelation, as the Lord spoke of the coming Redeemer, the promised one who would enlighten the world. In time, I shall send my Son, the sacrifice perfect and pure, who will bring forth a new covenant, allowing all to come to me freely. He will heal the broken-hearted and set captives free, the Lord declared, his voice a melody of promise cascading across the heavens. Job's heart soared at this foretelling. I have heard of you and yet long to behold this grace, he whispered, his spirit aflame with an urgency to witness the fulfillment of the promises made both for himself and for the generations yet to come. What shall I convey to those who seek thee? He implored, knowing that the revelations granted him were not solely for his own understanding, but for the benefit of all who walked in shadows. Proclaim my goodness, Job, the Lord instructed. Tell of my mercy, of the direct path I lay before mankind, for each soul holds value in my sight. Let your life echo the rhythm of grace, an anthem to the mighty works I shall perform. With renewed confidence, Job arose, ready to share the story of his trials and triumphs, a chronicle interwoven with the intricate nature of divine justice and love. All shall see and understand that God is with us, even in the valleys of despair. For as sure as the sun rises, so shall his grace be magnified until all creation sings. The words flowed forth from Job's lips, immense joy bubbling up as he contemplated the blessings of restoration both material and spiritual. Soon, the Lord declared, Job, you shall have restoration of all that you have lost. Behold, I shall bring back to you double what you once possessed. Your wealth shall be multiplied, and your family shall flourish, resounding in faithfulness. And thus, the heavens erupted in celebration, for the cosmic dance of redemption had begun. Job was not merely restored, he became a conduit of God's transforming love, leading others toward the light. His sons and daughters would rise to be pillars of faith, teaching others of the mighty works of God. In the days that followed, as Job looked upon the new generation rising from the ashes of the past, he rejoiced in the understanding that all was crafted under the touch of divine providence, for God had a mighty plan, a sweeping narrative of mercy, reconciliation, and hope. Therefore, let it be known to all who read this account, that the full extent of God's redemptive story is manifold, where every trial bears the weight of unmeasured grace and mercy. So, dear friends, in your own struggles, remember the story of Job and find comfort in the knowledge that your pain is not overlooked. God's sovereign plan unfolds, and from suffering, he brings forth life. Now, I urge you to respond to this call of connection. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next powerful biblical stories that enrich your spirit. This is the moment to help spread biblical truth. Leave a like now to help the algorithm carry God's word further than we can imagine. Comment your reflections and the impact this biblical story has had on your faith journey. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to hear about God's truth. Don't wait even one more second, as we join together in spreading the light of the gospel. Only true believers understand the importance of supporting biblical content to reach souls for Christ. Let us rise in faith and proclaim his wonders.